Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. Continuing on in the Maimah of Ish Sinas Yisrael, and Mitzvah Avos Yisrael from Tzemach Tzedek. This shir is sponsored for a full shlema for Feiga Devar Chaya Mushka Bas Shoshana. Only brachas and revealed good news for Ezras Hashem. Thank you very much for that sponsorship. Appreciate it. Okay, so we've been discussing and sort of on one foot to explain. We're saying that essentially in its source, like the Yidden in their source in Adam Rishon, or Lamaila in Ein Seif, what we come down here as separate things really come, if you go back to its source, it's really one thing. And so ultimately, when it comes down in this world separated, we have to recognize that really in our source, we're all connected. And this is, I think we said already, this is the reason why the Arizal would say vidui. Even though the Arizal hadn't done anything wrong, there's no reason why he has to do tshuva and asking for forgiveness. But because all the Yidden are connected, like we said before, in our source, so therefore, if a Yid hasn't done tshuva, therefore he's able to do tshuva, not for his own averos, but for the averos of the other parts of him, so to speak, the avera of his arm, so to speak. He's like the head, so his arm did an avera, so he has to do tshuva. He's asking for tshuva, and that's what he was doing. And this is teaching us a perspective on how we look at someone else. Do we look at them as separate beings from us, and then we can judge them and we can find all the faults with them, or do we look at them as part of us? And if there's something lacking within them, that's a problem for me as well, and I should be there to help. That's what we're discussing. Yeah. Let me see where we're up to here. So we said that this separate, but so ultimately when it comes down to this physical world, it has a separateness. Is Amnam, however, page 23 in this sefer. Amnam, however, this separation is only from the body's perspective. Aval hanefesh, but the soul perspective, nifrada, be'emes v'chula masimis. But from the soul perspective, everything is the same. Nothing ever changed. Okamashal hayad sheyesh ba mivride aregam ba'ayin v'chula aregam min hayad. Just like the hand and the foot that we all have. The connecting pieces, like similarly, he says like the veins. So in the foot is part of the hand, and the hand is part of the foot because the blood, the circulation through the whole body. The yeshal keiv atzum beruchnius mikeiv ayin kanizgalel b'mashal. As we from the mashal, the pain can be felt very intensely in the spiritual sense from the pain of the eye, as mentioned. Meaning the head feels the pain of other parts of the body. And that's why the Rizal said all the viduim. Not because of what he had done wrong, because he didn't do anything wrong. But he was saying vidui, it was the confessional prayer because of the fact that there was the Yid that's part of him that did Navera. Not that he was angry at them, but he felt the obligation that he had to do tshuva, not for his own averos, but for the averos of other parts of him, so to speak. He felt the pain of that limb. Just when you do an avera, we are very, unfortunately, most of us, I speak myself, I am not so sensitive. And then when you do something wrong, let's say, for example, you forget to say a bracha, you don't wash nagavasa, or you don't, whatever it is that we don't do, doesn't bother us, doesn't hurt us, we don't feel painful. I used to have a thought process about this, that like, you put out, you wash nagavasa every day. And I'm sure most people do it. So let's say you wash nagavasa every day. So one day you don't wash nagavasa, your hands feel uncomfortable. So I would question, does that uncomfortable feeling come because we become sensitive to it, or just become naturally we just feel we're used to feeling water on our hands in the morning. If we don't feel it, it feels awkward. What is it? So the answer is I don't know, but it doesn't hurt. The fact that I have that feeling, that's the sensitivity that we're meant to be getting. And when we don't do something we're supposed to do, like washing hands in the morning or saying brachos or davening or having Avos Yisrael, we don't have that, we should feel uncomfortable. But naturally, for a lot of things, we don't feel uncomfortable. Whereas the Arizal was sensitive and he did feel it. That limb, which is sauced, the neshama of that limb was a yid, and that yid unfortunately wasn't doing what it was supposed to do, and so it hurt the Arizal. And it reached, so to speak, the brain of this body, which that's where the Arizal was from. So just like the brain feels, when you stub your toe. Yesterday I stubbed my toe. It was funny because I stubbed my toe, and my thought was, now I understand what we were talking about in the moment. So that feeling, it feels in the brain. So that Arizal, when a year that's on the level of the toe doesn't have air, he feels it. Specifically, the source of all our neshamas, the moyach ha'av, chachmas yisbarach, which is really in the source, it's coming from Hashem's chachma. Hakelel is kulam, margish ke'ev koran ma'achiv. So he feels all these stabbings when we do the wrong thing. And therefore, and that's why, and this is what the Talmud is saying in a deeper sense. This is why we have a commandment to love every single yid, because Sharei Kol Adam Kol Mikol Nisham Yisrael, because we're all together, we're all one, all essentially one, connected. And it's like the limbs of the body. We not be separate limbs, but we're all connected, just like the blood and the veins that they pump the blood all the way around the body. So if all connected, I'm not separate from that other person. That other person is part of me. And everyone that you know and you're in touch with, and even more so, of course, everyone you don't know. But I'm saying just people around you, you're connected in a very deep way. Just like the foot is connected to the hand, so too you're connected to that next person. And therefore you should love your friend like yourself, because he has part of you and you have part of him. We all have part of each other. Just like the connection with the limbs, like we talked about. And now, what we're seeing is just the someone we're saying is he's telling us in a practical, logical way why you have to have Yisrael. You have to have Yisrael, it's all connected. And you don't love your head and hate your hands. And if you do, that's a problem. We have to work on loving all parts of us. And we have to connect. And so too, when we look at another yid, it's not someone separate. You have to think to yourself, hey, this lady is a different limb, and I'm this limb. And we're all connected. And therefore, loving them is part of loving yourself, essentially. And this is also why now I was going to explain why do we have to have, obviously, so we say, I take for myself, obviously, so the first thing in davening. Well, what's the connection? This is sort of like our question from the beginning. We said that Rabbi Hillel said when he got asked about the guy who wanted to become a guy, he said, whatever you don't like, don't do it to your friend. That's the whole Torah. So we asked, what do you mean that's the whole Torah? I can understand between one yid and another, mitzvahs beinam l'chaverei. That makes sense. And we're all connected, and you're your friend. You have to behave, you have to be respectful. So what about Hashem? And davening is about connecting to Hashem. So why do we have to do Avos Yisrael? Why do we have to take upon ourselves Avos Yisrael before davening? So now we're going to answer why. Because we're connected. And if you're not fully connected, you're like bringing a carbon, because davening is like carbonis, and you bring a carbon with a mum. If you don't like the other person and you're not connected, so you're like a blemished animal, and that animal can't be brought up to the mizbeach. Very logical. Yeah. And this is also why we have to take upon ourselves Avos Yisrael before davening. because in order to be able to give ourselves over to the oneness of Hashem, Hashem will be raised up before Hashem will come before Hashem, which is the feminine waters, which is really, it means coming from below to above, through our putting our avodah in davening to connect to Hashem. How's that going to work? Kriya Shema, specifically by Kriya Shema. Just like davening, like we said, is like bringing a carbon. And if we want to come up to Hashem and bring ourselves up to Hashem, the carbon has to be a good carbon, and it can't have any blemishes. And so too with us. If we want to come as a good carbon, so to speak, by Shema and by giving ourselves over to Hashem, it only works if we're good within ourselves, we're complete. How do we be complete? That we have to be connected with all other neshamas. Our body has to be in tune with itself, so to speak. Meaning if I come and start trying to daven, trying to bring myself up to Hashem and get close to Hashem, but I hate some other yid, it doesn't work. We can't come together that way, and therefore you can't do your davening properly. So in order to have your davening properly, you have to take upon yourself Haredi Makabel. Obviously, Yisrael is not that I hate this person, but I'm gonna be nice to him. That's what obviously Yisrael is recognizing. This is part of me. This is my friend. We're connected. And when we do it that way, then you can come together. Just like a healthy limb, that at the veins that connected with one another, that the organs are very healthy. When your blood runs well, and you have no health issues. And therefore, when you have that healthiness, which is through recognizing before I start davening that I don't harbor any hatred towards anyone, any issues towards anyone, and I love them simply because they're part of me. When you start off that way, so then you're healthy, and then you can come up and bring yourself up as a carbon to Hashem. That encompasses within it that then it raises up to the L'Ratzain, willfully before Hashem, Hashem's Chachma, and when that happens, in that level of Chachma of Hashem, everything's there, all but in the level of oneness. So then you can come and bring yourself up properly. Because in the neshama has encompassed all, like we said before. So therefore it can be raised up to the level of its source where it's all one. Like we said before, that in its source it's all one, in the Chachmas of Hashem. But then it comes down and we feel ourselves, we see the separateness. But it's not true separateness. It's just how it looks down here. But what we're saying is that we're one. And when you take upon yourself to have that obviously soul, and you look at another yid, not in the way of separateness, in the way of part of the same body. Therefore, when you daven, it can be raised up properly. Davening is a whole different davening. But this expresses itself specifically when a person shows within himself, and also in the way he acts to other people. This way, this obviously strong. And it looks like the limbs that are connected. So when you look at another yid and you look at them from this perspective, so then you look like a healthy body. The sheli shelach, to the extent that mine is yours. What's mine is yours. Ki atzmo b'sari hu, because he's part of my flesh, my essence, my bones, and my flesh. I gotta share. I guess tomorrow we'll finish off this paragraph. It's a very beautiful verse. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was many years ago, I guess 5 years ago, I don't know how long ago now. It was Tishrei time. I was in 770 davening Shachris, and this is really bringing up this point that we said, that really a person realizes it's all one. And now, when I was a Bachur many years ago, when you came for Tishrei, I didn't know. Maybe there was that you know about, but I didn't know about all these food, ways of getting food without buying it yourself. And sometimes I would go half a day, 3/4 of a day without really eating anything. So I was there in the morning, I was davening Shachris, and I see a guy, he has a Danish in his hand. And it looks to me like this is sort of breakfast and lunch, so maybe he'll get a dinner. I don't know what's going on, but he could tell, yeah, didn't look like he was eating that much. And he was holding on for it. I don't know why exactly. Maybe he has to start learning. And he sees a friend of his, starts talking to him, having a conversation. And as he sees friends, they finish off, his friend leaves, walks off. And I see, as his friend walks off, he looks down, he's Danish, and you can see something's going on in his head. He's like looking, thinking about something. And then he calls back his friend, he calls him back over, and he says, "Oh." So the guy comes, like, well, he takes the Danish, he opens it up, he rips it in half, and he goes, "Here." And he gives him the other half. And the guy's like, no, it's fine. He's like, no, take it. You need to eat. And I saw this, and this was like Tishrei time. And in my head, I was like, my Tishrei was perfect. Like, this is it. And I was blown away by this guy's obviously so like this is his breakfast and lunch, and it's nothing. That's a Danish. And, it's like last year, I don't know how long. And you could tell that in his mind is like, this is like what I need to eat. But like we said here, Shali Shalach, what's mine is yours. Yours is mine. We're connected. Part of the same limb. If you're eating, I'm eating. I'm eating, you're eating. We're all, it's not that I'm eating. It's like it says when the Chassidim came to America, the Rosh Chassidim came to America, when they would tell each other, let's say, like the newer ones who get told by the older ones have been here for long, let's say, it's not like in Russia. You can't come to a person's house after 9, and there's all these like rules, whatever it is. But it seemed to me that in the old country, like my house is your house my house, didn't live, and this is obviously what we're talking about. It said, but the way to do it is not because it's not that he's sort of like people see themselves, look at this, I get to do this mitzvah, show that I'm so good. But it's that you're looking at the other person as part of you. That if he's hungry, I'm not complete. So I gotta feed him. Not because I'm more important than him, because we're all together, we're all part of the same body. So therefore, let me take care of my body. And so, Mitzvah Hashem, we should see that. And of course, this is like an obvious thing. We have to recognize that having Avos Yisrael starts with ourselves. You can't not have Avos Yisrael to ourselves. That's a whole different thing for another time. Thank you very much for joining. And then we should have a great day.